This video is going to be a slightly different look at the Ravens' offensive struggles from Week 5 loss against the Steelers with an eye towards what you do to address issues. Notice I didn't use the word fix because you can't fix them until you address them first. Our process was always identify the problem, address it, and then you hope to improve. The third aspect of that, the hope to improve, is contingent upon you doing some work and admitting it up front that it is an issue. First of all, drops. When you have that many drops in a game suddenly pop up in 1 week, that is the outcome or the output from your previous input in practice or whatever. So you can often, as a coach, you can go and you can see what happened in the game and then go back and look at your practice plans from the week before. I almost showed a practice plan here, but you guys probably gotten more bored from that. You can go look at your practice plan from the week before and say, oh, we didn't address tackling as much as we normally do, or we didn't address these two drills that are foundational for us. And I am going to talk about drills in this video, and I'm going to suggest to you that you go watch 2 videos of some drills. It's Kirby Smart, the University of Georgia head coach, some drill tape that he showed years ago at a conference, and it references some drills the New England Patriots always did, talking about fumbles, which would be my next point. Fumbles don't just happen randomly because one player has an issue, unless it's only one player fumbling. I offer to you that we have multiple guys who have had fumbles and demonstrated less than ideal ball security in key moments. When I say key moments, I mean when they're being converged upon by defenders. Now, you can't know that you're being converged upon in all situations, so you have to operate as if you are, especially in the NFL, where the pursuit and the level of athlete and strength and explosiveness is so high, the margin for error is small. That's why I included a picture of Justice Hill holding the ball there. Third thing we'll try to address is third and fourth thing are related. Play calls and awareness of the situation. So what I'm going to talk about is a predictable play call that we used too many times in the Steelers game, and we've actually used against the Steelers the exact same formation, the exact same play concept for 3 years in a row. Now, there's times where it's been successful, and I'll show you one of those run by J.K. Dobbins against the Steelers, I think, on the road in 2022. But those, I started mentioning this about 3 weeks ago, there is the law of diminishing returns, meaning the more you keep showing the same formation and the same play, the less and less you're going to get out of it. Kind of need to be diverse, and Todd Monken in certain formations has done a good job doing so, particularly the bunch formation. But there's other situations which seems to be centered around the run game where he's more predictable, and we're going to have diminished returns when we run the same play over and over again. This is related to awareness of the situation. I'm going to talk about the play call, the interception that Lamar threw targeting OBJ late in the game. And I'm going to talk about it from the standpoint of look at the types of passes Lamar had thrown during the game and had some difficulty with. Now, you may say, Coach, he threw the ball great. Well, yeah, he did, but he's got a problem with his right hand. And you can see it on the first possession, the heavy tape job that's there. I think he pulled it off later in the game after a hit or something like that. So only the wrist tape is there at the end of the game at the time of the interception. His adrenaline is up, his blood is pumping. So yeah, it maybe doesn't hurt, but it affected his throwing. And I don't know if other evaluators have pointed that out, but he didn't have as much zip on the ball. That was obvious, number one. Number two, there was at least 3 passes that he threw that he normally puts in the flow of the receiver's route, meaning throw it out in front of them, and he did not on those 3 cases. Now, one of them was still a drop, and I'll show you that one, Zay Flowers. So that'll be the focus of this video, is talking about how you address those issues in practice, and what that requires first is that you admit that it is a problem. All right, this first play that we show is obviously one of the ones that disappoints us the most for many reasons. Potential touchdown on the board here, targeting Zay Flowers, bottom of the screen. I will show you the end zone angle of this for multiple reasons. Number one, to show you that the ball is thrown behind Zay in terms of his intended path. It still should be caught, right? It's obvious. I mean, we have 7, 8 drops in the course of a game, and it's multiple players. There's something that you need to address. There's something that you need to identify and say, hey, maybe we need to add another drill in here to focus on something. I'm sure they do contested catches, but some of these just weren't contested. It's just a lack of focus by the player. additional reason I would like to show this is so that you can see what is on Lamar's hand. And I'll pause it here in a moment as he drops back. Ball's thrown a little bit behind Zay. You can see that heavy tape job on the right hand. And I think it created difficulty with, I think it created difficulty with putting touch on the ball, but his touch in terms of accuracy was exquisite on this day. So he did a great job fighting through that and playing through that. I do think there's something to be said on this throw, clearly, that this ball needed to be thrown further out in front of Zay. Problem number one. And then problem number two is we have a great talent in Zay Flowers who's dropping the football. Now, that's my point. Largely is when you have great players make mistakes, you have to ask yourself as a coach, what are we not doing? And that's the thing for me that makes it obvious that there are things to address with this offense and this team, because you have great players. You can say what you want about Rashad Bateman. Mark Andrews had a drop. Zay Flowers had a drop. Nelson Aguilar, who's playing his butt off so far this season, has a fumble on the right sideline. Now, yeah, it's forced by one of the Steelers' defenders, but my point is when great people, great players fail across the board at the same thing, clearly is something you got to address. And I'm sure they are in practice this week across the pond. Regardless of whether this one is targeted for Zay Flowers or not, it's a ball that Mark Andrews can catch, has caught before. Think about his touchdown catch in the back right corner of the end zone against the Cleveland Browns. The body positioning that he's in to try to catch it isn't easy. None of us, or most of us, couldn't just fully extend to catch the football trying to utilize our vertical leap. But you can practice these situations. I'm sure they do. I'm offering to you that I've been there in terms of here's a repeatable situation that our players are going to encounter. Let's rep it in practice multiple times so that when it occurs during the game, we don't have issues and we don't have lack of execution. That's the word you always hear, execution. Lack of execution normally can be attributed to something you did wrong or didn't do at all in practice the week before or in the weeks before. And that's why, for me, it gets so tiring to hear people say, or coaches say, you just didn't execute. Execution failing you on game day is because your drills and your structure normally failed you in practice. Rashad Bateman with another drop. I don't look at different players dropping the ball differently. All three of these guys I just showed you had opportunities to make play and drop the football, and it's disappointing. All right. Ball security. So we have had multiple issues. I'll show you two. I'm going to let these run while I talk. We've had two of these by running backs. Now, one of them was Kenyon Drake, who had only been signed to our team 3 days prior. I'm going to show you his fumble against the Colts. What do they have in common? It's not the player who they're trying to evade that causes the fumble. It's someone from behind or someone converging on them, right? And again, Kenyon Drake had only been signed like 3 days prior or something like that. I'm glad we've got him. But we have an issue here, guys. And the first thing we have to do, for the coaches at least, is admit it. At this point, I'm actually going to ask you to pause the video if you're not watching live and go check out two links in the description. One of them is a 3-minute video. The other one is a 2-minute video. If you're interested in understanding how you can, this phrase has apparently annoyed people this week, mitigate risk or minimize risk and minimize potential fumbles, there's specific things you can do to drill it. And the first one is a drill called circle chase. And it's a drill that practices the exact situation that I'm showing you. Now, it's an offense-defense drill, meaning you got offensive players for Georgia, and the New England Patriots actually utilize a lot of these drills in the video. It's an offense drill, and then it's also a defense drill. So you'll have offensive players, juking off of someone or making a move, but they have to show ball security, and then a defense player coming in from behind or the side trying to strip the football, which is exactly what I think it's Ogunjobi does here, strips the football. It's a repeatable situation that you know is going to occur in the game, and you want to prepare your players for it. Situational coaching isn't just 3rd and 21, ball on the plus 42, and we're down by 4. Do we just try to score the touchdown, or do we accept the field goal and then take our medicine, if you will, and then go ahead and try to get a stop and score on the next possession? Situational football isn't just trying to get a punt off from inside your own 10, which we saw as a difficulty for teams at different times. It's not just what's your play call on 3rd and goal from the 4 when your quarterback has a wrist injury or right wrist injury that might influence his touch on the football. And we call a back shoulder fade to OBJ against Joey Porter, which is a bad matchup in and of itself. And that might be a poor play call from an awareness standpoint in that situation. Situational coaching is also, these are going to be situations that occur multiple times across the path of the season. A running back, receiver, quarterback with the football, and defenders converging who they don't know are there. How can we exercise good ball security? Sometimes it's just a great play, of course, right? Julius Brents, Larry Ogunjobi, they made great plays. Okay, cool. If that's your explanation for it, what if this keeps happening? How many times does something need to occur for us as fans to say it's an issue that needs to be addressed? Or for the coaches to say it? The answer is probably 2 different things. As fans, if it happens 4 times through 5 games, we're probably going nuts. Why does this keep happening? As a coach, when it happens twice, you have to address it. And now the great coaches, when they address it, before it happens even once. And that's my point that I've been trying to make to people on Twitter and YouTube this week, is that if you're a great coach, you've addressed these things already, and they never happen in the first place. Now, hopefully you went back and you watched the videos I'm referencing, Circle Chase and Stumble Bum, 2 drills that Kirby Smart claims will eliminate 20% of your potential fumbles across the entire path of the season. I'm not sure whether it's 20%, 30%, or whatever. I can tell you that the moment we saw those drills, we started doing them repeatedly. Now, our old school coaches who coached us in high school had somewhat similar drills, but they weren't offense-defense drills. There wasn't an element of the defenses actually trying to strip you in practice. Oftentimes you'll get what's called an offense success drill, meaning the defender is there to allow the offense to succeed. Or you'll get a defense success drill. Your job as the offensive guy in that situation is to let the defense succeed, but provide enough resistance so they get something out of the rep. If you watch those videos, you notice the Tom Brady drill on Stumble Bum clearly was him just going through the motions. This is a very small thing. First of all, great throw by Lamar. Unbelievable. And then great catch by Aguilar. And then we do fumble the football here. When does it happen? Notice when the fumble happens. It's not wide open field, no one near me. It's when someone converges, maybe who I didn't realize was going to be there. Now, in this case, Aguilar, who's having a really good season for us, if you ask me, is aware that there's going to be someone converge on him. But I'm showing you these plays because this is illustrating Kirby Smart's point. You're going to have these moments, these situations occur multiple times across the season. You have to prepare for them. Great throw by Lamar to Andrews, running his patented over concept, over top of linebacker level. Notice the defender converging on him. These are repeatable situations that the Ravens coaches have probably addressed on some level before the season even started, but maybe now recognize we need to continue to address even more. There's going to be constant feeding for the football, constant attempts to take the football out by defenders, and our guys need to be aware of it clearly. Another element to this game that I want to address, and it only came up, I think, 3 times in terms of the actual show, unfortunately, is Sticks Blitz 0. Didn't provide an update or intel for you guys in the lead-in that I was going to do this because I wasn't sure whether I wanted to, but I feel like you have to. We've seen this so many times. Is this a coaching issue? Well, no, not necessarily, but it's clearly a situation where teams have decided this is how to defend Lamar when it's 3rd and 6. They're not going to do it every time. You can't do it every time, but they're going to change the look. That's the point. It's actually 3rd and 10 here. My apologies. You're going to change the look. Sometimes you're going to bring 5. Sometimes you're going to bring 6. In this case, the Steelers are lining up and bring in 7. Why? Why does this continue to occur to us? Because it removes the possibility of a Lamar scrambling. If you've been following my channel and other people's channel, you understand that already. It doesn't mean Lamar can't throw. Look at how well he threw the football. It means you're removing one of the options for us in terms of Lamar scrambling. I offer to you that we should be throwing the ball deep. I've been saying this for a year and a half. We should attack deep, throw the foot, especially when you see the matchup like Zay Flowers versus Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, granted, you may say, well, Coach, how does he know? How does Lamar know? Well, he knows now. I mean, he knows now. Now, Zay is, we've got a play call here. The original play call at times, whatever it is, if it's a slant, needs to be adjusted. And sometimes I think this is Lamar and the receiver being on the same page and recognizing the situation and saying, oh, I was supposed to run A, but now we've got this, so I'm going to run B. And I'm going to take this thing vertical. I think that there has to, because what's the alternative? We get the first down. We face another 3rd and 6 3 plays later, and then we're in the same situation all over again. I don't want to be in this situation repeatedly. We're not succeeding already. We're not against sticks blitz zero. Although we've had some situations where we gain yards. For example, against the Bengals, as Nelson Aguilar again from the slot up top. The Bengals are bringing heat, and we happen to complete it over the middle. But I believe this was a 3rd and 10, and we got 8 yards. So now we're in 4th and 2. So what difference does it make? I offer to you that we should be trying to hit these things deeper against this look. And in practice, we need more situations where the defense shows this look late. And Lamar and the receivers need to adjust to it. We also had issues with pass pro, not just straight pass pro in terms of our tackles. We had issues with picking up blitzes against the Steelers. I'm not actually going to show one of these in this video, but you see a nice job of picking up the blitz here by Gus Edwards. We did not do as consistent a good job with that against the Steelers. I didn't say that very well, but we didn't do a good job consistently with running back protection in Week 5, and it cost us. I think there was a sack. I think there was a sack in the 3rd quarter on a 3rd and 6 where Justice Hill, no one picks up the safety, and we end up giving up a big play. We've seen this for the better part of 2023 at times. Teams are just bringing pressure, get the ball out of Lamar's hands, force us to make a decision and throw the football until we beat these coverages with a touchdown or a huge play. We're going to continue to see these. It doesn't mean that Lamar can't do certain things throwing the football. It just means from a tactical standpoint, it makes sense for defenses to do this, collapse the pocket, converge on him because of the unique skills that he has in terms of being able to run and the pressure it puts on our offensive line and the pressure it puts on Lamar to make decisions repeatedly to execute down the field on 2 or 3 third downs on one possession or one drive. From their perspective, makes more sense to do. Force Lamar in that situation and hope that they get an incomplete out of one of them. My counter to that would be, I don't want us to try to convert 2 or 3 of them to get down the field. If we're getting these looks, I want to see us attack deep. And now in this case, it's Mark Andrews against Julius Brents. He's not going to beat him deep on a post or a go. So some of the situations, it dictates, the type of route that we're going to throw clearly. So maybe it's an oversimplification at first. But my point is we're not going to get people out of this look. We're locked into what's happening right now. We need to change that dynamic. And part of that is, in my opinion, in practice, looking at these situations, forcing Lamar, Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar, Rashad Bateman, whoever, to read it and adjust their route so that we can, if you remember, Sammy Watkins, the drop or incomplete, to open the game, the first possession against the Dolphins in 2021, we all were upset he didn't go make an attempt to catch the football. I agree. But at least it was an attempt to throw the football deep. At least it was an attempt to exploit that coverage, which isn't sound when we continue to run the types of routes that we're running right now that really isn't succeeding in the first place. So compare the way those things look to when we see 4-man pressure. And you'll get, I think, a very clear picture of why teams are making that tactical choice at times. When Lamar has 4-man pressure scheme and our offensive line does as well, there's less pressure on him, less pressure on the offensive line. Even a situation where maybe Myles Garrett's giving us trouble on a speed rush, there's less congestion, allows Lamar to slightly move up in the pocket, which is what you're supposed to do, and then deliver the football. You get a very clear illustration. Of course, I picked these plays of why teams are choosing to bring 6 and 7 at times. It doesn't have anything to do with how good our wide receivers are, which is what people said in 2021 and 22, because they're still doing it now. So what's your explanation now? It's because of the unique skill set that Lamar has. When you give him time and space to be able to move around, bad things happen for you defensively, like they did here against Cleveland in Week 4, although we didn't see the catch by Zay Flowers. All right, moving away from our pass game, our pass pro, and anything to do with drops or fumbles, we're talking about predictability. We have run this play from the exact same platform or formation dating back 3 years against the Pittsburgh Steelers. At times it has worked. I'll show you one here that works for a big gain for Gus, I think a 9-yard gain, maybe an 11-yard gain. And then I'll show you another one that JK had. But my overall point is we are too predictable at times in the run game still. We're in the pistol set. We've got 3 receivers to the downside. One of them is Ricard, but it's trips. And then we're closed to the backside. So there's something from a game plan standpoint that we know this does to the Steelers' defense in terms of how they match it, how they line up, if you will, because we've been doing this for multiple years. This is in Pittsburgh last year. J.K. Dobbins, left side. It's not a huge game, but it's the outside zone concept out of trips, pistol, closed. Same exact formation, same exact concept. You may say, well, Coach, you've already admitted to me that it works twice. Yeah, but we're not running complementary plays out of it. When we get in this formation, for me anyway, against the Steelers the last 2 years and the data that we have, we're 6 for 6. We've run this exact concept out of pistol, trips, closed 6 times in the 6 times I've seen us line up in this formation. The defense will adjust and recognize it and close down or constrict the running lanes, which is what you see an example of there. 2022 again, they have a guy coming on late. Possibly almost end up with a hold here. JK busts it for a big gain. Now, if you're looking at this simplistically, you say, well, JK's better than Gus, and that's why he gained more yards there. You can't do this repeatedly, same formation, same alignment, same play, and not expect the defense to get better at defending it. Which is exactly what happened here. Now, I went 2023 game film and then 2 plays from 2022. Here we are again, same situation. Ricard's going to motion over to the right. The dead giveaway. Pistol. Trips. Closed. And we're running the stretch to the 3 receiver side. Very exact same stuff we have done in 2022 and 2021 against them. This time we actually do get a hold on Ricard against TJ Watt, stemming inside. 5 or 6 yard gain, call back for a penalty. This is the type of thing, if you ask me, that demonstrates that our run game isn't as developed as it should be, because when we are trying to run the football, our answer on the play call sheet appears to be something that we've run against the Steelers multiple times. You say, Coach, it's worked, but we're not running anything else to balance it out. We're not actually running the boot off of this. So the outside zone is set up for the boot play action. We're not doing so. Any other play concept that's available to us, we haven't shown yet. Now, it's probably, for me, my main criticism is, this is towards Todd Monken, is that out of certain formations, we've got a well-developed offense, meaning we've got multiple plays, stretch, boot off of it, maybe a drop back pass, maybe a screen. In other formations, we've got multiple plays built into that structure, to that platform as a formation. I'll call it a platform. This platform, we do not. And I wonder if it's because this is a holdover from our previous offense that Todd Monken is using for whatever reason. I don't know what that reason is, but I know we can't continue to be predictable and expect the run game to work consistently. The last thing that I want to address in terms of fixing the offense, or at least addressing the problems, recognizing that there is a problem, and then trying to find an answer to it, is play calling in high leverage situations. And Lamar, we've already established in this video, clearly came into the game with some type of issue he had to compensate for on his right wrist or his thumb. We know that it got hurt, I think, 2 weeks ago. Still threw the ball extremely well, except for this play. Now, I blame Lamar for the throw. It's a poor throw. If you can't get past that, just stop watching. But really, ultimately, I blame the coach for this call, because this is a touch pass. And to throw a touch pass, I don't think you want your quarterback doing that when he's got some type of injury to his right hand, right wrist, right thumb, whatever, that will impact his ability. He's a right-handed quarterback. That's going to impact his ability to throw. You may say, well, Coach, you've been throwing the ball well all game. That's true. I agree. The lack of awareness for me at the NFL level of calling plays, this is the second time I'll say this season, to me, this is not an NFL play call for this situation. We know what the Steelers are going to do. Look at what they're doing. If you're an NFL offensive coordinator, NFL offensive staff, and you get to this point in the game and you don't recognize what the Steelers are going to do in terms of bringing 6 hats on the rush, how do you not know? Now, it didn't impact Lamar because we threw it quick. You say, well, Coach, it was a quick throw. Was it a good decision to go to OBJ versus Joey Porter Jr.? No. Are we surprised that OBJ was out there? Like, who else are we going to put out here that we think is going to physically be a matchup in our favor against Joey Porter Jr.? He's not starting for them. Patrick Peterson is. Okay. Joey Porter Jr. is a big, strong, athletic quarterback. This situation down here in constricted space, we always used to compare to posting someone up in basketball. If this was a basketball game, would you expect OBJ to be able to post up, back down, and score against Joey Porter Jr.? If you're not a basketball fan or you don't know much about basketball, you probably don't like that comparison. It requires a level of height, frame, and physicality that OBJ simply does not offer. If we throw this route 10 times to OBJ, he doesn't win it once against Joey Porter Jr. If he does, it's because Porter falls down. It doesn't mean OBJ ain't no good. It just means this is not the route to throw in that matchup, in that situation, in my opinion. I think it's poor situational awareness by our coaches. Even the 2 plays prior to that, not running the ball at all, recognizing that this is what the Steelers are going to do. Bring heat. I think they're trying to run a stunt here. Bring heat, force the ball out of Lamar's hands quick, and force us to go to a matchup that wasn't a good one. I get the benefit of evaluating it after the game clearly. I didn't like the call in real time. The moment that Lamar looked to that side and I realized it was a back shoulder fade, I'm not saying I knew it was going to be an interception, but I knew it wasn't going to be a good outcome. All we needed was a touchdown there or maybe even a field goal to possibly retain our chances to win the football game. I think our coaching has failed us on the offensive side. If you've sat and listened this long, first of all, credit to you because I haven't been positive. There's not much to be positive about. When you have drops pop up in the propensity that they did, fumbles occur in similar situations to which they've already occurred, that is an issue that you need to address as a coach, particularly one at the NFL level. I hope they are. Starting in practice, I guess today is their first day of practice, Wednesday. Play calls and lack of awareness is scary to me right now because I've seen it twice. Really 3 times, but the other time I did. The first time I saw it, I didn't mention it. The next 2 I have. One of them was against the Bengals when we lined up in heavy personnel with Falele and ran behind him again on a 2nd and 9 in the late third, early fourth quarter from our own -24, something like that. It's like, that's not an NFL play call. And for me, this one, OBJ against Joey Porter, it wasn't either. Certainly not a fun video for you guys to sit through. I know I'm being increasingly negative about this, but we're better than this. We have better talent than this. We've got a quarterback who threw the hell out of the football on Sunday and deserved to win based on the way he played. That interception, again, I think it was a bad throw by him, but I tend to blame coaches for bad decisions made prior to situations like that. And I've done that consistently, so that's not me being hypocritical. Let me know what you guys think of the video in the comment section. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this video on fixing, or really that's a poor phrase, addressing the Ravens' offensive issues, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.